Hey, we are live. Dr. Lisa, so good to see
Hey,
you.
it's great to be here. Thanks
It's
for
book
being with
launch
me.
day. Book launch day. I got it right
It
here.
is it is
Show
book
AI.
launch day. Here's mine.
There's your, I'm double fisting. I got two copies. I love it so much.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I'm really excited. 367 days in the making to get to today. So
Only
I'm
2 days
excited.
longer than a year.
Yeah.
Longer than a year. Well, hey, Lisa, I want to start off with a proper introduction because you deserve it. You're an amazing lady, and I'm proud of to be able to do this with you. So everyone, it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Lisa Palmer, a true leader in the world of artificial intelligence and business transformation. Dr. Lisa Palmer is a daughter, a devoted mother, a cousin, a doctor, and now an accomplished author. With 25 years of experience in technology, Dr. Palmer has led executive roles at Microsoft, Gartner, and Splunk. And today she leads two ventures in Dr. Lisa AI, an applied AI advisory firm, and NCX, a platform that empowers experts to operationalize and monetize their knowledge through AI agents. Dr. Lisa is known for helping businesses and public sector leaders skip the AI hype and deliver real results that show up on the bottom line. And her 5 pillars of AI success framework and her strategy to action playbook have guided Fortune 500 boards, private equity backed firms, and government agencies to achieve revenue gains, cost savings, and risk reduction. She's a sought after keynote speaker featured by NBC, Fox News, the Financial Times, and CIO.com, and is celebrated for turning complex technology into plain spoken business moves that resonate with decision makers. Outside of her professional life, Dr. Palmer is proud of her roots and brings the same mix of grit, bold moves, and joy to her roles as a mother and family member. And today she adds author to her list of accomplishments with her new book, Show AI, Don't Tell It, which is all about building buy-in for AI through visual storytelling and bold leadership. Dr. Lisa, welcome. So good to be here with you.
What an amazing intro. Thank you so much, Justin. I'm
So
excited
let's
to be here.
let's just start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Why did you want to write a book?
I Wiley reached out to me a year ago, my publisher, and asked me if I would like to write a book. And I was already struggling with scale. So I want to help people. I love helping organizations to be successful, particularly with artificial intelligence. I've been in the tech space for many years, and that's the thing that fills me with joy, is to really see people be successful. And to take that even further, I feel like there is an existential looming crisis for some organizations that don't have the resources to get the guidance that they need with artificial intelligence, or it's not been top of mind for them. They're not aware of how important it is. And so when Wiley asked me if I was interested in writing a book, I thought, this could be the answer to solving my scale problem, because I can't help everyone. My boutique consulting firm punches way above our weight class, and we help a lot of supersized organizations, but there are it is limited capacity. So I felt like the book gave me the opportunity to do that, to just expand our reach and help more.
But maybe even go back a little bit, Lisa. Like you got your doctorate in AI. Like what is it? What is it that drew you to AI? What is it? What is drawing you to this? Because I feel like you even saw this coming before the rest of us saw it. You started doing this before ChatGPT, when most of the world kind of caught on. I mean, I know AI has been around a little while, but why did you choose this field?
Ah, so my whole career, I love data. And my very first job, I was a network planning engineer. And I spent 60 days, learned all of their data structures, and surfaced insights that landed me in front of the CEO and the board of directors when I was right out of college, to share with them things that I had learned from their data, and help them to create some massive savings for their organization as a result of that data analysis. And that led me into a lifelong career in IT. I literally was in the engineering group for 2 months, and got moved into technology, all because I love data. And so that thread has been common throughout my career. And I, about 4 years before ChatGPT hit the market, I felt like, AI is over 7 decades old in various forms. And we've been in and out of AI winters when people went through the hype cycle and we didn't successfully come out of it. That's happened a couple of times before, but I felt like AI was finally ready. I felt like it was about to come into the mainstream. And so I decided it was time to go back and sharpen my sword, and got my doctorate in applied artificial intelligence. And so I had 6 months left in my program when ChatGPT hit the market and just exploded people's interest in AI, and particularly Gen AI, but in all forms of artificial intelligence. So it was awesome timing. I was so blessed.
Oh, it's such a cool story, and it was perfect timing. Here we are, like we're still just at the very tip of the iceberg here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the concepts of the book. So in the book, you talk a lot about visual storytelling, like really that being like a catalyst for like AI adoption and where we're going. So can you tell us a little bit about visual storytelling and maybe give us some successes that you've seen with companies using this?
Yeah, absolutely. So throughout my entire career, I have been in technology. I have helped organizations to undertake massive transformations. And what we know when we bring tech into environments is that it's a change management effort, and we have to capture hearts and minds. We can't just, force technology into a situation and think that without the people in the process that we're going to be able to solve these problems, right? And so I have always used visualization techniques. Something I love the approach that I call visual dartboarding in the book. And essentially it means this: if you start out with a blank piece of paper and you ask people what they want, it's very difficult to get momentum in the conversation, right? So what I like to do is I mock up a first version of what I think it could look like, what the story looks like, what the architecture looks like, what a data structure looks like, whatever. Either if it's it doesn't matter what it is. If you can draw a picture of it, or if you can create, this works beautifully on Mural and other, whiteboarding on remote tools as well. But if you put something out there, and even in the book, I talk about the fact that when I was in high school, a dear teacher brought to our attention that there is no greater drive in humanity than to edit someone else's draft, is what she used to tell us. And so if you put that visual story in front of people, they will literally go, oh, I don't like this. No, I think we should do it like that. And they will literally start to co-own the creation of the story that you're making. And I've done this over and over and over throughout my career, and I formalized it into what is called visual dartboarding as a process. And that was kind of the core idea. But then I've expanded this with our AI projects and taken that to a completely new level, because there's so much, there's been, unfortunately, again, so much hype that hasn't proven to be true for people, that you really have to show the results of what you're creating to get people to buy in, to capture hearts and minds so that they will actually pursue AI adoption. And so so there are there are dozens of these different tools. I actually highlight a framework in the book to pick the right visualization tool for you to meet your desired objective. And then dozens of different tools that I layer in there that you can use to drive towards whatever outcome it is that you're trying to create.
No, that's awesome, because I agree with you. And it's like you always have to paint the story, right? To be able to move a customer forward, to be able to move a project forward. And you even talk about there's so many failures with AI projects to date.
Yeah.
And there's all these things that you have to do to set the right expectations so you can move forward with the customers. But you also introduced the concept of bold AI leadership model. So can you walk us through, there's 3 pillars here. Walk us through, what is that bold AI leadership model?
So the bold AI leadership model is composed of 3 main elements. The first is mindset. We have to embrace a lifelong learning mindset. We have to open up our aperture to the art of the possible. We have to rethink every process, every possibility through the lens of new capabilities that are quite literally coming into the market every day. So the very first thing is mindset. You've got to get your mindset in the right place. The second element is strategy. And in the strategy, you've got to have a framework around what the strategy looks like. I see a lot of, it's almost like it's ethereal when people talk about strategy. It's way too high level. It's way too, it's way too abstract. And what I encourage people to do in this strategy section is to apply the lessons learned that I have gathered from both my research. So my doctoral study was 46 enterprises and what made them successful and what made them stumble with their own application of artificial intelligence. Lots of different kinds of AI. So that the research back learnings that I have are baked into this book from my doctoral work. And then, it's field tested. Myself and my team, we do this work every day, and we have for years, where we help organizations to identify their strategies and then I call it strategy to action. Like, we've got to move you quickly from what does good look like into, okay, let's get some momentum moving, because momentum is what gets people excited and on board and looking for that next win. And then the third piece is that visualization piece that we were talking about. So mindset, strategy, and then action. And the action is leveraging visualization to drive people's interest and excitement around what is possible in redesigning the way that we work in partnership with artificial intelligence.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I also like how, like, you talk about that it has to be in partnership with people, right? It's about empowering people. In fact, I even think you call out in the book that if you're not going after AI projects in a way where you're empowering people and you're trying to replace jobs, like that's the number one way that you can fail, right?
It absolutely is, and we've seen examples of this in the market already, where organizations cut too deeply, they over automate. So, like, if we look back in history, like when RPA first hit the market, a lot of organizations, this happened really badly in financial services. They over pivoted towards automation, leveraging RPA, and they ended up having compliance issues where they were fined. They ended up experiencing major customer dissatisfaction situations. Their employees were struggling because they were understaffed. So that has unfortunately happened more than once in history. So when people get worried about what's happening with AI and act like they feel like we've never done this before, so they feel like they're on really shaky ground, I do want to encourage you to think about the fact that there's a lot of lessons from history that we can apply to this period of time to help us to be successful moving forward. So I want to make sure that people understand that they embrace that idea that there are lessons that we can learn from history, including pretty recent history, with some of these orgs that have over automated. And instead, let's lean into augmentation. Let's lean into human plus AI. So one of the central themes in my book is what I call human centricity. And that's everything from think about your customers, those humans that you're serving, think about your employees and how you can improve their experience. Think about your investors, your stakeholders in general. You want to be human-centric in the way that you leverage AI, and the business finances prove out that organizations who do that end up with much better financial returns.
Oh, awesome. Well, Lisa, you also call out that another reason for failure is toy. You call it toy AI.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about what is toy AI and why does that lead to failure?
So toy AI is AI that is not grounded in creating business value. So it's very easy because AI is cool. Like, there's a lot of different things you can do with it, right? So it's very easy to be distracted by that and to go after something that is it is not going to move the needle on your core business or organizational objectives or your mission for your organization. So toy AI is one of those things. Like, you're going after projects that are expensive, they're time consuming, they're resource consuming. And then when you get them done, they haven't created impact on your core KPIs. So I advise people over and over again that the core thing at the center of what you're doing has to be focus on business value. Create business value with everything you're working on. If you can't articulate how it's going to drive business value for your organization, then do not pursue that. That's toy AI, and it's going to be a waste of resources.
I totally agree. And then the other thing that I see, and you probably see it every day too, is that you get into the boardroom and there's a lot of skeptics. There are people who are like, look, this stuff's not going to work. We've had too many failed projects. I know this person and this person, they spent tons of money. They spent hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars on this stuff, and it just didn't work. So how do you introduce concepts through the book, through Show AI, Don't Tell It? How do you do this in a way that you can get buy-in?
So using the visual tools is very powerful. So I'll tell you a story from the book. So in the book, I talk about a story where we actually created a hologram that was powered by a large language model for a board to literally see what was possible in creating a new fan experience for, this was, a large professional, a professional sports team, and who own arenas. And they were very interested in leveraging artificial intelligence, but wary of spending money that wasn't going to lead to something that was really differentiating for them. And so as part of a demonstration, as a visualization of what was possible, we literally created a chat bot that powered hologram and allowed the board members to ask it questions. And they asked it questions, everything from statistics about their players, to where are the bathrooms in the stadium, to what kind of food can I get here. Someone asked it if there was somewhere that they could get food that followed particular dietary restrictions in the stadium. So, and they experienced that live. That is a completely different experience than putting a slide deck in front of people or talking them through things. So when we think about this kind of capturing of hearts and minds, now that they've experienced it, and Justin, I tell executives all the time that you can't just, I call it sit in the press box. I love sports, so you keep seeing these analogies come up, but they can't sit in the press box. You've got to get on the field. You have to touch it. You have to understand what's possible. I actually, as the CEO of 2 Ventures myself, I spent an entire one weekend participating in a hackathon for Lovable and built my own application and database background. And I did that on purpose because I wanted to know what was possible with the tools that my team is out there running with. So that kind of hands-on commitment from leaders is incredibly important. And I'm talking about from executives and board members. If you're not leveraging these tools and figuring out how to use them for your own benefit, then you're not going to be able to guide properly moving forward.
I always see that in the world I live in all Microsoft world. You have to use the stuff to be able to talk about it, right? So and you're never going to sell something that you don't use yourself. So Lisa, when you talk to skeptics and they say, all right, well, just show me something small, like where do you typically start? What's the lowest hanging fruit that you see with customers where you can start and say, okay, well, let's do this just to whet your appetite and see what's possible?
It's really interesting because there's such a broad range of where people are at in their understanding. And by the way, when people say AI right now, the thing that comes to mind is generative AI. That's what they think of. That's what they're talking about. So one of the things I encourage is make sure that you're all using the same language. That's part of the Bold AI leadership standard and approach is you have to be using the same language. Because if you say artificial intelligence and you mean machine learning or you mean computer vision, and what they're talking about is generative AI, which, by the way, hallucinates and is riskier than traditional, well-established machine learning, then you're going to have a disconnect in your communication that you don't even realize is happening. So make sure that you're sharing the same language. And then as far as low-hanging fruit, there's a couple of things that are super simple to show people. One of my favorite tools, and no, this is not a paid advertisement, they are just one of my favorites, I use them every day, is a tool called gamma.app. And you can literally just write a prompt and it will automatically create an entire beautiful presentation for you within seconds. So if you want to really capture people's imagination, they can literally watch you type in the prompt and see it build this entire presentation in under a minute. That is an aha moment for organizations. That's when they go, wow. Now, obviously, human in the loop, you've got to check what it creates. You've got to be really thoughtful about what was the point of the presentation you were trying to make. I mean, it's never a one and done solution, but as far as capturing imagination, something as simple as using a tool like that is incredibly powerful.
And I want to bring it back, Lisa. You talked earlier about data, your love for data, and like companies. Like I think data is like the currency in my mind. Like the more good data you have, probably the more valuable your company is. But
Yep.
There's concepts you talk about where you're data rich and AI poor. How can somebody who's data rich and AI poor, how do they transform?
Justin, I've sat in boardrooms through some really uncomfortable conversations where the chief data officer, chief information officer are being called on the carpet for the fact that their data is not AI ready. And specifically in one very heated debate, I heard a board member say, "What do you mean we're not ready? We've given you millions of dollars over the past 10 years. How are you not ready for AI?" Right? I will tell you that is more common than uncommon. It is the reality, because data it's complicated. It's siloed. It's siloed by business units. It's siloed by tools. It's siloed by geographies. It's complicated by different regulatory environments from a global perspective, different languages. So data is complicated, right? So it's not a simple problem to solve. One of the things that I like to encourage people to do is to think about leveraging AI to actually prepare your data for use by AI. So when we think about generative AI, we tend to think about it on the output side of our conversations. What about thinking about it on the input side? And I'll give an example of a situation where a client they had multiple languages. They were in a franchise model, so all of the data was completely disparate, different types of data storage mechanisms, different tools that they used to capture the data, and they needed one data store to be able to, the business value that they were trying to create is to be able to see if they already were conducting business with a particular business entity any place in the world. So they were, from a sales perspective, they needed to know, is this client someplace on the planet already one of our customers? That seems like a really simple problem to solve. It's not. It was taking them weeks to find out an answer to this question, which was really slowing or even killing their sales processes. So what we were able to do is use generative AI to help to translate all those different languages into a common, English was in this case, into one common form of language. We were able to use it from a synthetic data perspective to fill some holes in their data. So essentially to clean and prepare the data. And ultimately, the solution was to leverage natural language processing. So to put that that simple interface on top of the data that allowed people to just ask it questions, both verbally and by typing, to just ask it questions. Are we engaged with this particular business entity anywhere in the world? And although we set out to solve that one particular business problem for them, it actually ended up providing them with insights into hundreds of more questions because it was NLP based, asking questions against that data. And so it's about creative ways, really creative ways to leverage artificial intelligence to help you to solve problems with your data.
No, it's so incredible. The way you describe it. I had read one time that if you want to increase your vocabulary, you wanted to learn every word in the English language, you start with A. By the time you get to D, you already know every word in the dictionary, because learning all those words leads to everything else, right? But Lisa, I wish we had more time. But what I really want to get across to everybody is, like, this is an amazing book. But what do you want everybody to get out of this? How can you share with them what's the best way to get the most out of this?
So, first of all, this is not a technology book. This is a leadership book, because the challenge that we have in front of us. So MIT's recent study that just came out said that 95% of AI efforts are failing to meet, essentially failing to impact profit and loss, right? So that focus on business value. And that's pretty horrifying for anybody that is pursuing or getting ready to pursue artificial intelligence efforts. So what we have to realize is that this is a massive adoption challenge. This is a leadership challenge. The technology is amazing, yes, but we've had amazing technology in the past too, and we work our way through that. What is really at the crux of this is adopting this leadership approach, the mindset, the strategy, the action that systemically and repeatedly and consistently will create business value in your organization. Because, and there's another concept in the book that I, probably my favorite, it's called the AI performance flywheel. And that is about doing this. There's 4 stages to it. You've got to start with foundation. Then you've got to move into execution. Then you've got to move to the scale phase. And then finally, you get to innovation, because as you get this flywheel spinning and you move from those basic use cases and you move and you add another use case and another one, and that flywheel really starts to spin, by the time that you get to innovation, the innovation phase, what's actually happening is the AI is helping you to uncover innovation ideas that you wouldn't even see without it. So this is a leadership book designed to help you to drive that consistent, repetitive, business value creating output from your AI investments. So I would like people to do that, like engage with it like it is a new way of thinking about your management of yourself and all of those efforts that are under your purview or in your area of influence, and move along this pre-described path so we can help you be successful over and over again.
No, I love that. And Lisa, I guess I have some good news and bad news. The good news is that I know that you're also helping people, like, get the most out of this by, like, you've got some cohorts where people can get together and they can talk,
yes,
and they can get some more ideas. I guess the bad news is that you're already on a wait list. So it's such a popular book and so many people want to be part of it. But if somebody wanted to get into, they wanted to get onto the wait list for your cohort, how would they do that?
Yes, so we are launching our first cohorts to help people to follow the Bold AI leadership path. The first cohorts are happening in mid-October. I think they're putting it on the screen now about how to join the wait list for those. Would love to have more of you join us. This is dear to my heart, because I want us to spread this far and wide as much as possible and help organizations to thrive, to drive not only their own success, but to provide tremendous broad employment opportunities. And I always say that rising tides raise all ships. And if we can do that, if we can help one another to really be successful with business efforts, it leads to economic and societal benefits that will circle the globe.
Well, Dr. Lisa, it's been incredible. Thank you for your passion around this. Thank you for writing this book and trying to make it easier for us. Thank you for the cohorts to allow all of us to collaborate with one another and get the most out of it. But congratulations. Congratulations on your first book. Congratulations on this whole new venture. But yeah, let's show them off. Like, here we go. Show AI.
Yeah.
Don't tell AI with Dr. Lisa Palmer.
Thank you, Justin.
All right. See you all.